o'clock. Welcome everybody to this afternoon session. This afternoon, our first topic is going to be how to start a sustainability program using the 5T framework. Excuse me. We're very happy to have David Saunders with us today, who will be our presenter. My name is Michael Gilman, by the way. I'm our moderator for this session. I come to you representing the ASQ Energy and Environmental Division, where I am currently a Vice Chair of Energy Activities. I'll remind you that remember the questions should be submitted through the question and answer tab on the bottom of your screen. I will be viewing the questions as they come in, and at the conclusion of David's talk, we'll leave time to discuss as many questions as we can handle at that point. Let me at this point tell you a little bit about David. Upon retiring, David Saunders joined an organization called the Maryland Climate Leadership Academy. After completing a number of classes and passing exams, the Association of Climate Change Officers certified him as a climate change professional. As a result of that, he's conducted approximately 22 workshops with ASQ sections. He's developed 5T sustainability framework. Previously, David was a director of quality with a human services company with as many as 45,000 employees. As a consultant, he has trained quality engineers to conduct hands-on customer research. He is the co-author of 4 Days with Deming. That's an experience, I'm sure. David has earned a bachelor's degree from Hobart College and an MS degree from the Pratt Institute. I'm sure that this will be a very interesting talk, and so that I don't take time away from David, I'm going to turn the session over to our speaker, David Saunders.
Thank you very much, Mike. So you may be wondering, are you in the right session or not? So one consideration is climate change is real and it's happening. So that would be one point to agree with. And the second is that you want to do something about it. So if you can say yes to both of those, you're in the right session. And in terms of doing something, you may want to consider, you may be saying, this is not my job. This is not my job. And that may very well be true now. It's not your job, but it could be your job. And certainly if you want to work for the next 50 years, you may very well consider getting into this area. So let's get rolling. There was a spark. Our first speaker talked about the spark and Deming called it a moment of personal transformation. I'll just tell you very quickly, part of mine. I talked to someone who's a sustainability officer. I asked her, what do you do? She said, well, I work at a university. I'm doing an inventory of our trees and we're doing a maintenance plan. I thought, oh, sounds like a quality project to me. I said, what else do you do? Oh, I'm looking at all the vehicles that burn fossil fuels, and we're going to look at how to migrate them to electric vehicles and what that would cost, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Wow, I thought that looks like a quality plan. And then I thought to myself, I can do that. I thought I can do what she's doing. I can do that. So the proposal for this workshop is I'm going to provide you with a how-to. This is a how-to session, a how-to checklist for starting a sustainability program. The entire process is in the May 2023 issue of ASQ. How will climate change affect company stock? And this 5T, I'm trying to certainly make it like Six Sigma. This is not copyrighted. It's not owned. I don't have a company. I'm retired. I have not had a paycheck in 7 years doing this work. So it's for you. This is for the public good. This is my project for the public good. My background, I started this in 1980. My claim to fame is I met Bill Latsko. You can see the joy of being in a Deming workshop. This is Latsko in a Deming workshop. And one of the things we would do in the Deming workshop is after lunch, we would exercise. Even before lunch, we would exercise. And this was part of bringing joy into the workplace. And Latsko, just by the way, if any of you are fencers, he was a major player in the U.S. fencing world. He was at the Olympics, and it was just wonderful for me to be an apprentice to Latsko. And when we did this, I was the junior partner with Deming and Latsko. But I'm going to show you a slide that I've never showed before. I in this time, this was years ago, it was really when I was getting started, I was doing quality circles, and I just lost a contract. Middle management just did not want employee involvement, and they just cut me off at the knees. And I talked to Dr. Deming about it, and he said, it takes courage, takes courage. There's a young David Saunders. But that takes courage, takes courage. We're going to see that soon. So this is my journey, and I'm inviting all of you to do this, to come to the Association of Climate Change Officers. It is really a very low bar, frankly, to get this certification. But I needed this to be able to give this talk. I needed something to gravitas to be able to do this. And also, I learned a great deal. I loved taking this course. I learned so much, and all I went in with was curiosity. And anyone on this call, anyone in the quality field, we have the skills to do this kind of work. We know how to do teams, we know statistics, and we know organizations. We can do this work. So here's the Quality Progress Magazine, and what I'm going to go through is basically this article. And here's a picture of the article, which you can download. Here is the link, which I just put in the chat, so you can go to this link if you're in ASQ. Now, in ASQ, there are two versions of the article. There's this version, which is the paper version, and then there's the electronic version. I am suggesting we go to the electronic version. I'm just going to click on it for a second. Let me just show you how this works. So I'm going to click on the electronic version, and it takes me to the ASQ website, and here is the article. So the article I'm going to work on today is coming from that website. And then you can certainly contact me, and I'll provide you with these slides. Oops. So, also, in this session, ASQ, I've taken all of these slides and I populated this, and it works. You can come here. This is part of, go to my profile, and you can download all the documents that we have today and some extra ones also. So now let's jump in. So here's the question. During a conference call with Wall Street analysts, our CEO was asked, how will climate change affect company stock? And afterwards, a senior vice president of my division asked me to come up with a plan. They say, hey, Saunders, come up with a plan for climate change. What are we going to do about that? So it's a big topic. I don't know what to do. So this was a question that ASQ posed to me, and then this whole presentation is the answer, what we can do about it. So the response is, one part of the response is going to this, becoming a climate change professional. And here's the link to the Association of Climate Change Officers. And I invite all of you to go to this link. There are a lot of free classes, and you can learn to become a climate change officer and get that certification. It's really, for people in our world, it's not that hard, actually. What I did, I had to learn a vocabulary. I used index cards, flashcards. I made up a bunch of flashcards, and I passed the exam. It was not very hard. And then I did workshops for ASQ, and here you click here, and you'll see a link to one of these workshops, and you can walk through the entire workshop that I've done for ASQ sections, a whole bunch of them. And then here's the model. So we're saying in order to impact climate change for your organization, I have a timer here. I see I didn't start it. We need 5 teams. So the 5 teams are, you need a strategy team. So a strategy team is like a management council to help develop the plan, an adaptation team, mitigation team, and we're going to walk through each of these. So before you begin, you probably want to get a little more knowledge than the rest of the class. You can literally stay a step ahead. Charlie Cianfrani, who I worked with for many years, used to say to me, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. If you go through these couple of books, read a few books, I outlined them here. Watch this video, read this book. A couple of movies I'm outlining here. Watch these movies, do these podcasts. You will know more than virtually, 90% of the people in this field. There is training available. This is a training I mentioned. There's also this free training. Climate Reality Project training is very good. It's free. It's really what I call the Al Gore training. So you can click here and you can go to this website and you can get what's called the Al Gore. I call it the Al Gore training, and you can get a certificate there in climate leadership. So all of these are laid out. All the links are here. If you learn a little bit about this, instead of watching Netflix at night, watch this, and you then can have, as Jack Welch would say, control your own destiny, or someone else will. Become the quality guy or quality gal in your organization, become the go-to person, and then start some projects, which I'm going to show you how to do. So here's what a consulting model would look like. The activities would be training. So you have these 5 teams. So you have a strategy team, adaptation team, mitigation team, reporting team, and opportunity. We're going to go through each of those. You provide them with training, and the X's is what we're going to do today. I'm going to just show you a briefing for them, but enough material to train each team. Then they go off and they do research, they do a project, they do a dashboard, they do a presentation, and then ongoing support. So if you're a consultant, if you're someone sitting out there and you're a consultant, my suggestion to you is not charged by the day, but charged by the project. If it's a small company, you could charge $2,000, $3,000 for each one of these boxes. A big company charge $5,000 for each box, and you've got a whole year's consulting project here. But each one of these is a deliverable. You're going to do trainings, a deliverable, research is a deliverable, a project. The teams will do the projects. I taught people how to do customer research, and they would do a research project, and that was the pay point. They would produce a project, and they did it. The teams were great, and they know how to do this kind of thing. So here's the training. I'm suggesting you can insert your name in this slide, put your own company logo in, and 5 teams for sustainability. The first team you're going to deal with would be the strategy team. And this is a very common approach to climate change, is to say, what are you curious about when it comes to climate change? This is obviously not a threatening question. What are you curious? This is just such an easy question. What are you curious about? So a good way to start the conversation, what are you curious about? And then you can show the article. You don't have to say, I invented this. You say, oh, some guy invented this. I'm following this model. It's a published model. So you've got something to stand on. This is a very common use. This came from I call it the Al Gore training. Do you have a climate change story? People have them. They may not realize it. Like when they asked me this, I thought, what do I have? Then I realized my mother, when she was 87 years old, was in the path of Hurricane Wilma. It knocked the windows out of her bedroom. She almost was killed in that. I had to fly down to Florida and bring her back to Baltimore. So I have a climate change story. One of my dear friends from junior high school lost his house in Hurricane Sandy. He has not been economically, it ruined his economic life ever since. So there are stories. Then I love this one. This is BlackRock Investments, and this quote is, every management team and board will need to consider how climate change will impact their company stock. This is the Larry Fink letter. These are the investment people. In the old days in quality, the investment people, the finance people were the enemy. They were the enemy. They were the ones that were, cutting costs and all that. They are the ones pushing the climate change, the focus on climate change, because they know it's going to impact their investments. So I use this quote, show this to management. If they want to see where it is, you can just click here and it'll take you to the actual quote itself. Now, if you can get a team of managers, and even just one manager, my recommendation is to show this video. We talked about a spark, a moment. When I saw this video, I went like, wow, This is what we need to do. These folks who did Rewiring America, they're MIT people, they're smart, they know what they're doing, and they actually were the think tank behind the Inflation Reduction Act. And this video is very powerful. It goes 12 minutes. It's very strong. I'm not going to show it to you now, but if you have any interest in this, it's about 1 billion machines. We need 1 billion machines, and the technology is there to produce lots of clean energy. This model calls for abundance. Energy will be so cheap, it will not be metered. You just buy a subscription service to it. It will not be metered. Just like phone service is not metered now. I started playing it, but you know what? I'm going to I won't do this now, but I invite you all to do this.
America, a non-profit group advocating for
See if I can
aggressive
go to the next
electrification
slide.
to fix our climate, to create jobs, to save every household money, and to improve our health. As everyone knows, we have a carbon dioxide problem.
Okay, David, how do I do this? I have to stop my own slide. Okay, then the question is, what are the implications for our company? It's a very non-threatening question. So you show the video and then say, what are the implications? Let the group fill it in. You don't have to tell them what to do. You can say, gee, you can go like, gee, boss, what are the implications for our company? We just saw people tell us about the billion new machines that are going to be needed to solve this really serious problem. What can we do? What will the implications be for our company? And then you can look for his book. Now, this is the checklist from the article. This is the checklist. I'm going to now just show it to you in the big screen. So find a senior manager who is predisposed. So of your senior managers, find someone who is predisposed. And you can just look at what car they drive and you'll know who's predisposed. If you run away and hide from climate deniers, you have climate deniers in your company, just run away. And it's not enough to run away and hide. Don't even engage them. Then look for the scientific papers. Now, there is a vast amount of scientific information. There's the intergovernmental, this is the worldwide climate change papers. There's the intergovernmental panel. You click this and it'll bring it up. This is the worldwide United Nations 6th assessment. This is the gold standard. But the United States has a gold standard called the National Climate Assessment. I'm going to show it to you right now. Here it is. I click the link. What happens? It's not there. It's not there. Somehow, and it's hard to find. Somehow it's not there. I don't know what happened. I just don't know. How did that happen? The federal government took off this gold standard climate study that goes region by region by region. There's a summary of it. I had to go into my onto my hard drive, and I had my copy, and I posted it. So it's in that page I showed you. But this National Climate Assessment, you can't find it anymore. It's just remarkable. And then prepare a storyboard for your company, or this is what the strategy team would do, is prepare a storyboard. Determine a process, identify teams, get deliverables for each level. So this is team 1. Team 2 is the adaptation team. How to protect your valuable assets. So where are you at risk? So these are photos that I took. You can take your own photos. This is no rain in Cambridge, Maryland. It's not raining, but we have flooding. Went to the map. They call it nuisance flooding. There it is. That's a map. This is adaptation to sea level rise. We're going to have serious sea level rise worldwide, guaranteed. It's happening. The glaciers are melting. Greenland is melting. Sea level is rising. This is the adaptation at great cost, building these barriers. Here, if you have an industrial facility that's subject to flood, if you have something in downtown Baltimore and it's subject to flood, this is wet flood proofing. Install flood vents at basement walls in order for water to enter and balance hydrostatic forces. So this is a way of adapting to sea level rise at your facility. Another thing they do is I was at the beach, Fenwick Island, Delaware. They raise their air conditioning plants. I wouldn't buy land there, but that's what they do. They put the air conditioning up. Here is giving a talk in California, wildfire. So here is adaptation, doesn't prevent anything. There's going to be fire, but how do you protect your house? Then here's another one, adapting to heat. You can go and see how many days workers will be outside in 90-degree weather. How do you protect them? So the question is, what are the risks we face? What assets do we want to protect by address, by location? And here is a wealth of information on how to do it. This is the U.S. Climate Resiliency Toolkit. This is still here. It's got a bunch of information. When I was in my climate change class, they were treating this like it was something they'd never seen before, these matrices and a problem-solving model. I went like, oh man, we've been doing this in quality for a long time. So this is just Quality 101 applied to asset protection. Go to this website, it's still there. So this is the adaptation team. This is what they do. This is their projects. It's all laid out here, and they do a dashboard. So that's team 1 is strategy. Team 2 is adaptation. Team 3 is mitigation. How do we lower our carbon footprint? How do we do that? So, you know, I get into this field, I go like, you burn a ton of coal, and they're telling me in class that it results in 2.86 tons of carbon dioxide, and I can't even conceptualize what that means. It took me a while. And as I went through this class, I just would Google everything. I ended up with, and then I did it so much, I kept all the links. I had like 25 pages with 20 links on a page, but it was so much fun. It was so interesting. So how do you understand this? You burn the carbon. So what happens is, who knew? Carbon has an atomic weight of 12, oxygen an atomic weight of 16, CO2 has an atomic weight of 44. It has weight. I mean, you don't see it, but if you look at this picture, is my house, and see this gas here? That is carbon dioxide. It's being burned. So in my house, I used 1,026 therms of, quote, natural gas, which is methane. And then they showed in the class the calculation. I took out Excel spreadsheet. I did the calculation myself. 5.6 metric tons of CO2 that goes to the atmosphere for 100 years. 100 years. And I just lived there with my wife. We're empty nesters. So the remedy for that is a heat pump, which is another story. But that's the remedy, and this is done all over the world. We're burning this gas like it doesn't matter. So why does it matter? So here in 1800, and for the last million years, a photon comes from the sun, it hits the earth, and much of it bounces back or is absorbed by the ocean. 1900, still about the same. But in 1850, we started burning coal massively. And by the year 2000, a photon would come up, it would hit a CO2 molecule, the molecule would vibrate, which is heat, and it would throw off the photon, and it could very well go back into space or it would come back down, and that's called the greenhouse effect. And we do it in 20 years later, in 2022, now we're burning all this natural, quote, natural gas, transition fuel from coal, and we're burning a lot more of it. It hits that, comes back down, and you can see, because we know how to read graphs. We know statistical process control. We know what this means. Carbon dioxide is going up, global temperature is going up, and you talk about a moment of transformation. I'm going to show you the smoking gun right now. I'm going to show you the next chart. This chart is the one that changes everything. This is going to change your life. It's going to change your children's life. This is 800,000 years of ice core samples. And here, when I started this business, it was at 416 parts per million. It's now at 427. And this is what's causing global warming. You look at this and you say, oh, here's a controlled process. This is an ice age. ice age, and here we have this spike, and that's what we're up against. So this is world changing. Someone has a hand up. I don't know if we can view it, but we'll have some time for questions. How am I doing on time, Mike?
We're getting there. I'll give you a signal in about 10 minutes. 10 more minutes of
Okay.
talking because we do
10
have
more minutes.
questions coming
Okay.
in.
And then I'd love to answer your questions. So what do we do about this mitigation of, here's an example, Target stores, they gave me permission to use this, and they put solar panels on their roofs. This is a smart thing to do. So now our worksheet is, what can we do in our company to lower our carbon emissions? And a lot of it gets into the products we make. We're making 500 dozen sneakers. Style A has carbon emissions of X, and we have 500 dozen sneakers of style B, and it has 200. So which do we want to use? What are the differences? Why do we have that? So here's a checklist for mitigation. And then here are all the links for mitigation. You can go through these, look at the links yourself. It'll take you all afternoon. But by the time you go through this, you'll know more than 90% of the people in your company. By the way, you'll know more than 90%, but you'll be in a room somewhere and you'll know there's someone who knows a lot more than you do, in which case I defer to them. There's always someone who knows more. So now we go to team 4 is reporting. In 1992, the world United Nations went to Kyoto, and the Japanese were very well prepared, and they named the 7 greenhouse gases, and you can see them here. They also set the global warming potential at 1 for carbon dioxide. So if you're into this field, you're going to have to know about the greenhouse gases, and you'll know something about the global warming potential. And I'll leave that. I'll just say that much about it. But this is what we have to, well, I'll say a little more about it. This diagram I've seen over and over again. I traced it back to the New Zealand Business Council for Sustainability like 20 years ago. And we're going to talk about this for a minute because it's going to come up as you get into this field. So there is scope 1. So here are the greenhouse gases up in the air. Scope 1 are the ones that our company produces directly. Scope 2 are the ones indirect that we buy, and scope 3 are indirect, either upstream or downstream. Now, why are these important? Because this is what's reported. So someone in your company is either doing this now or going to be doing it, and it could be the quality department, we could be at the table or not. I've talked to people in the field who sell the software for this. They say, hey, I say, are the quality guys there? No, finance guys are doing it. We're not even at the table. So if you want to be sure to have a job for 50 more years, if you know how to do this, you will be at the table because this will be required. Was that a time message? Here are a list of the standards. Now, this group I've been watching, go to their webinars. They give free seminars. They got software. They seem pretty far in it. I can't give any more endorsement than that. So here's the checklist for reporting, and then all the standards I put in there with all the links, and scope 1, 2, and 3. You can start with this one on scope 1, 2, and 3, and it's all right there. You have all the links. Okay, 5th team is opportunity. Basically, the question, how can we profit from climate change? There are going to be 1 billion new machines. Hey, someone's going to profit from it. Might as well be us. So here's an example from Target. Well, this is pretty smart. Put their charging station so you can charge while you shop. Here, for you personally, do this one. For a few $100s, you can get this certification. The price may have gone up a little bit. Get your company to pay for it, and you'll have a certification that will keep you going for the next 50 years, literally, because this is going to be around. This is not going away, gang. Your quality thing may be changed with AI. You may have AI writing your policies and procedures. I wrote a lot of policies and procedures and tracked a lot of them, and that's going to be gone, I would think. But this is going to be around. And then the question is, how can we profit from renewable energy? What can we do? What's our role? Let's figure that out. And then I give some resources for that. IDEO is one. And Deming talked about personal transformation, and this is an opportunity for that. So I'm going to just stop here because I've gone through the 5 teams. So it was a strategy team, And, we know how to do teams: strategy team, adaptation team, mitigation team, reporting team, opportunity team. And this is nothing that David Saunders invented. This is all from the Association of Climate Change Officers. I've packaged it up because I've been a consultant, and internal consultant or external consultant. Okay, we can take some questions.
Okay, David, we have a few interesting questions and a few comments on the webinar chat screen also. So let me hit you with a good question, and I'm sure you can. I'm sure you were very excited at this news that happened just within the past couple of weeks. Someone asks, how am I supposed to care about the environment when Jeff Bezos has 75 jets going to his wedding and polluting more than I will in my lifetime?
Well, it depends how you want to handle that question. Sometimes that question is asked with a political slant, but let's ignore that. Listen, people are going to do all sorts of things. You have to do what you can do. I have to do what I can do. If I can make a difference, I can do something. If you're going to worry about Jeff Bezos, if you're going to be thinking about him, you can sit home and do nothing. I mean, really, you don't have to do anything. But your grandchildren are going to suffer. They're going to suffer. This is, what happened in Texas is going to happen all over. Texas, great example. What are they complaining about? Big news. We didn't get the alarms. What's the problem? The alarms were the problem. The alarms weren't the problem. Texas, of all places, the alarms were not the problem. And it's so paradoxical because Texas is one of the leaders in renewable energy, and they are the worldwide leader in fossil fuel burning. But, Jeff Bezos, worry about, get to work.
Moving on from the bad
Sorry, I don't mean
examples
to be glib, but go on.
I got it. We'll move away from those bad examples that hit the news. Here's an interesting one. I appreciated your picture of Target and their EV charging stations, which I might add I have used in the past. Not that I wanted to go shopping at Target, but I did need a charge. So I stopped there. So someone makes a comment that Target has increased the CO2 emissions by offering the EV charging stations with additional purchased electricity. So how does this provide a positive 5T directive?
Okay, so you can see behind me are solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where there's some policy in government, et cetera. So in Maryland, we passed a law that allowed solar farms to sell their energy to the public utilities. And that had to be a law, that had to be a battle. There's opposition to it. You had to fight it. We had to make it happen. So now my electricity, the electricity that I'm using right now, is paid through that solar farm. Basically, I have a subscription to part of that solar farm, and that powers my energy. So we need 10,000 of these. We need 100,000 of these. In that video that I showed you, you're going to see Saul Griffith say, in 1935, the United States had 18,000 military aircraft. By 1942, we had 350,000 military aircraft. We can do it. Full court press. When America wants to do something, we can do it. We can solve this problem. We can build solar farms. We can build wind turbines. We can build batteries. He said, when you think of wind turbines, think of airplanes. When you think of solar farms, think of Liberty ships. When you think of bullets, think of batteries. We've done this before. Full court press, and we can do it because the technology is there. We have the technology to electrify the planet. The technology is there. The fossil fuel industry is not giving up. They are not giving up.
David, another good question for you. Remembering we have a quality audience here. How will 5T take my company to passing an audit to ISO 14001 or 50001?
That's a good question. I'd love for you to do it and find out and tell me. See, and by the way, this is a way to handle this. If you get into this field, you're going to get questions you can't answer. Someone's going to say to you, the R value in a house, we've got R21, we want to go to R39. Should we go to R49? Or they're going to ask you about the refrigerant in the heat pump. And I don't have a clue. So, go do it, find out. Hopefully it will. I mean, this is just a framework. You can take pieces of it. There's no magic in it. It's just a way, it's just packaged. It's a good question.
Yeah, good question. Other than questions, you're getting some great comments in the chat line too. Someone says natural disasters, when you spoke about the Texas, flooding situation, natural disasters happen. The idea that people will provide an anomaly-based repair for the unpredictable is the problem. Quality teams push for lean, and lean would call this waste.
I'm not sure I follow this, but let me just say something about the floods. Those floods are no longer, what's happened is that the weather patterns have changed so much that what was predictable in the past is no longer predictable. That we can no longer predict. We used to be able to say, this is a one time in 100 years. This is the probability. We have good confidence. The probability is one flood in 500 years. That's all gone. That is gone. We cannot predict like we've been able to predict because the world is literally, the planet is literally changing. The global temperature, the CO2, that chart I showed you, the CO2 in the atmosphere, we're at 427 parts per million. That matters. That really matters. You can't see it. It makes a difference. And we're headed to 450. I mean, we're blown past the 1.5 Celsius for the Paris Accord. That's history. We're in a new world. We're in a warmer climate, and you can see it. The trees are changing. The animals are moving north. People aren't going to be able to live in Florida. It's going to be really hot. And immigration. The Syrian war was, there's a book on the list, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Someone in my class told me about it, Pentagon. The Syrian civil war was caused by climate change. People, they couldn't farm anymore. They moved in the city and you had a civil war. The migration issues, they're climate issues. I'm sorry to report that. But people can't live at that temperature. At some point, there's a book, Ministry of the Future. Get that book. Because it gives you the worst case scenario and then it gives you hope for the future. And there is hope for the future. It really is doable. But that book, Ministry for the Future, starts with a terrible climate disaster where the human body can't take it. At some point, the human body, if the body temperature, if you have a fever, if you have 101, 102, you have a kid who's got 102, you're worried. An adult with a temperature of 103, 104, you're in the hospital. Your temperature goes to 105, you die. We're talking about weather that's going to be just warmer, hotter.
All right, David, another question for you. By the way, the questionnaire says, first, thanks for the presentation. How do life cycle of these alternative energy options compare with traditional fossil fuel burning energy generation? Do we have enough data to compare?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's no question about it. The Al Gore does his chart of the cost of solar panels, and it goes like zoom, goes down. I mean, there was if you go to Volts and listen to Volts, there was one fellow on Pakistan. Pakistan has this problem. What's the problem? People aren't using the generation plants because they're using solar panels. So the energy companies are like, hey, you got to guarantee us business. We're in trouble here. You got to support you have to subsidize the energy plant because so many people are getting solar panels from China. People in Pakistan are getting solar panels from China. You get married in Pakistan, you get solar panels and a battery.
Someone's commenting on solar panels that solar panels are 100% recyclable to a new solar panel that is 80% efficient. Is that a true stat?
Oh, I've heard things about that. I know that as we speak, there are PhD candidates all over the world working on this, and they're working on this, and they're working on recycling turbines for the wind turbines, and they're working on better batteries. I mean, Thomas Friedman did an analysis of the battery situation. He went to Ford and he went to China, and apparently, what's happened is like, can you believe this? That under one of the administrations in the past, there was subsidy for batteries, and there was a company that had a breakthrough in batteries. It was really a new kind of battery. It was a great battery for cars, and the subsidies went away. The batteries, Americans wouldn't buy it. The company went bankrupt. China bought the company. They got the license, they got the formula, and the premier electric car in the world is built in China with a battery that was designed and discovered in America, and we don't have access to it anymore. And Thomas Friedman has a whole article on it, like, duh.
Okay, David, this question relates to the precipitation and flooding issues we've had. What is your opinion about the precipitation enhancement company Rainmaker?
Oh, that might be, I don't know if that's geothermal. I don't know. I don't know what they do.
Isn't
There
that the
is
company that does
discussion
the seeding of the cloud to
the seeding of the clouds to make it rain. The problem with rain, frankly, is there's going to be too much rain because the world is warmer. So if the world is warmer, you get more evaporation and you get these rivers of water, like the size of the Amazon River in the sky hitting California. So those are these climactic rivers. Um, that's a big problem. In
another
terms of the
interest?
panels behind me, I might mention that I took this solar panel project to my synagogue in Baltimore, and we signed 100 families to the community solar farm. And we have, since January of 2024, we have avoided burning over 900,000 pounds of coal. And we have avoided over 900 metric tons of greenhouse gas. This little synagogue, 100 families.
We have 3 minutes left. I'll give another nice observation on the chat. Someone says, when do we stop saying the unpredictable? When it's happening with more frequency and severity?
Right, right.
David, can I offer you a wrap up? We only have about 2 minutes left.
I would wrap up with an invitation to join this. And I do have a quote here that I did put at the end of this. Let me just pull it up and share with you. The discovery of a sense of purpose and to act on it can help us live a happy and contented life. The other day, my granddaughter was introducing me to one of her friends, and she said, "Here's my grandfather. He's doing something about climate change." And that was like, that made me feel good. So I invite
That's
you
cool.
to come on this journey because I think that the quality community, we are uniquely qualified to do this. And I think we can create our own job. I think that this is something in terms of just plain out job security, this is a good play. And frankly, I rode the quality wave for 40 years. When Reagan came in office, I got laid off. I was working for local government. I had to reinvent myself. I found the quality field. I liked it. And I rode this wave for 40 years. This is a wave that is the rest of our lifetime. We have 1 more minute left. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, for a phenomenal presentation. Great questions, great chat that I've had more time to review. I know you've been busy talking. If you could, in a last thought before they shut us off, could you remind people where to get a copy of your presentation? ASQ is going to make them available for a short period of time.
And go to this conference has a profile, go to that profile, and all these are there. You can download them. They're all PDFs. Click on it.
But I'll add, I think that's only available for 30 days on that
Well, it's
conference.
available today. You can go do it in 5 minutes. Go do it.
Good answer. David, thank you so much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
We got
Thank
through
you
it
all very
all.
much.
I'd like to talk to you again some other time about all of this.
Okay. And anyone contact me. I'd love to talk to you about it. Great.
Will do. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.